Breaking news as of just a little while ago involving the Michigan sign stealing saga. Unfortunately, we here at Always College Football, we were a little bit busy. I was in the middle of a meeting with Mario Cristobal about tomorrow's game between Miami and Florida State when this information broke. So I apologize to those that are loyal here to the channel and loyal to our show. I apologize for being a little bit late to the party here, but we got here as quickly as we could. Here's the latest as it relates to Big Ten and Jim Harbaugh. The Big Ten has suspended Jim Harbaugh for the remainder of the regular season. Their statement that they put out, they found that Michigan was in violation of the Big Ten's sportsmanship policy for, quote, conducting an impermissible in-person scouting operation over multiple years, resulting in an unfair competitive advantage that compromised the integrity of competition, end quote. That was their quote. Here's where I kind of stand on this. I haven't had an opportunity to present and write down and chart out all my thoughts on the matter. I have a lot of them, I might add. But I want to kind of boil it down to just a couple key points here. One, did the Big Ten get it right? The Big Ten got it right to an extent. They had to do something. It was snowballing. It was getting worse. Other programs were getting dragged into it. So it felt like something had to be done. And there was a lot of pressure on the Big Ten commissioner, Tony Petitti, to act. So something had to be done. So I agree with the sense that they did something. I just don't necessarily agree with what they did. Jim Harbaugh being suspended, to me, feels like a little bit of a slap on the wrist. It's embarrassing. It's public. It's notable, sure. But at the same time, he was also suspended the first 3 games of this season, and it had absolutely no impact on how his team performed at all, whatsoever. Number 2, what would you have done, Greg? If you have a better solution, what would you have done? Well, I would have fined Jim Harbaugh a ridiculous amount of money. And then I would have fined Michigan's athletic department and their university. I would have said, hey, you guys have had a great year. That's awesome. But you might have used an unfair competitive advantage per our statement in order to achieve the great things you achieved this year. So as a result, yeah, you can go play in the bowl game. You can go play in the conference championship. You can play in the national championship if you get there. But you will receive no money as a result of playing in those games. That's what I would have done. I would have hit him in the pocketbook where it really hurts. Okay. The next takeaway that I have from this, how does it impact Michigan moving forward? And their players, more specifically, because that's who's ultimately going to be impacted by this. If I'm a Michigan player right now, I'm very much at peace with the decision that was made. Now, peace is an interesting word, but I think about it this way. The toughest thing for a player is we all are great as players. We all do a really good job of compartmentalizing. Everybody has things going on in their personal life. Everybody has things that are going on outside the white lines. But when you walk on the field, you're able to compartmentalize all the issues that are going on in your life in order to focus on the task at hand. All great players do it. Sometimes, yeah, does it matriculate its way onto the field? Sure. And a guy has a bad performance? Absolutely, that happens. But the toughest thing on the player is the fear of the unknown. Now they have clarity. Okay, coach isn't going to be there? Fine, let's go. Oh, coach is going to be there? Perfect, let's go. But wondering on Friday night as you lead up to the biggest game of your season, that would be more challenging to me than having clarity as to whether or not he's going to be there. Because the only thing that really changes for you on game day, if your head coach is not there, is who addresses you before you walk out to take the field, who addresses you before you walk out to take the field in the second half, and then who addresses you after the game. Those are really the 3 main interactions that you'll have with your head coach as a team. Now it's going to be somebody different that's delivering that message, but I don't think it'll have an effect on how they play. They've already gone through this in the dress rehearsal. They're in the first 3 games of the season. So I don't think it's going to have an impact on the players moving forward. Takeaway number 3. Should there be additional punishments down the road? I'm okay with additional punishments. I'm fine with that. Whatever they decide to do down the road, if the NCAA decides to do something, remember, this is the Big Ten. This is not the NCAA. If the NCAA decides to do something after the season, that might very well happen. But what you cannot do, and I will not support it under any circumstance, you cannot possibly penalize the players. To me, as a player, knowing how hard those guys have worked to be in a position to potentially play for a championship, both in conference and the national championship, assuming they get there, obviously that's a big assumption, a lot between now and then. But I think those that have suggested a bowl ban, those that have suggested being ineligible for the postseason, I personally don't think that's right. Now, you are 100% within your means to disagree. If you disagree, I totally support you, and I totally understand your line of thinking. Because you're thinking, well, you don't want to hurt those players, but they hurt those players by having unfair competitive advantage by knowing their signals, all these other things. I understand. I get both sides of it. I totally do. But I watch Michigan, I watch how their team plays, and I watch how good they are and how efficiently they play. I just watch the team themselves. And I think it would be doing the player a significant disservice if you were to rule them ineligible for the postseason. So I hope that doesn't come up at any point moving forward. But I actually think in a roundabout way, the clarity that was given to Michigan this afternoon could actually maybe benefit them a little bit more moving forward, because it's only going to continue to perpetuate the mindset within the locker room of an us against the world mentality. It's going to potentially galvanize the locker room to where, hey, coach isn't there, we got to do more. Next man up, we got to do more. So those are just some of my initial thoughts here. And this will be something that we will continue to revisit and something that we will continue to address, because I don't think this story is over. I think we'll continue to get more information on it. And we here at Always College Football will update you the best we possibly can. But Jim Harbaugh, as of this moment, right now, will not be patrolling the sideline for Michigan moving forward.